Hi, welcome back. I am doing a video today that wasn't necessarily in the cards. I actually went back and watched my old Trinny London review, and somehow it's so funny because that video, my overall initial review was pretty much 50-50. There were some products I liked, and then most I felt like I could easily dupe or weren't really performing to my standards or just what I prefer in my makeup. So I watched that video and somehow talked myself into buying $200 more worth of Trinny London products. And my first Trinny London order, if Will is watching this, he's literally going to die. But my first Trinny London order was over $300. So I have officially invested over $500 in this brand, and it's a high priced brand. And somehow I talked myself into buying more products, even though the first review wasn't 100% like stellar. I still oddly felt like I was left wanting more. So there have been some new products come out since my initial review from last year, and I'm going to talk about those today. I've been using them for a month now. I've had these products for almost a month. And if you missed my first Trinny video, I would highly recommend going back and watching that, because this is not going to be a detailed review on the brand and the products and packaging. It's really just going to be me using and talking about some of the updated things that I've ordered, if my thoughts have changed on the brand itself and that kind of thing. So I'll link my first Trinny video down below. For those of you who are like, what are you talking about? Never heard of this brand. I got you. By the way, if I'm breathing hard in this video, this is pre-filmed. At the time I'm filming, I'm 37 weeks, and yeah, it's getting a little hard to breathe. So if my breathing is a little off, that's why. But my first Trinny order, these are the products from the first video. I had ordered their Bff Cream, which is kind of like a tinted moisturizer, 4 of the cream eyeshadows, and then basically one of each of most of the face products. There's a bronzer in here, a lip gloss, a lip to cheek, a standard lip product that doesn't go on your cheek. I can't remember what it's called, and I'm not gonna like pull these off to look. And then the Just a Touch concealer. So that's what I have had for over a year now. I will probably use a couple of those products in today's video just to round things out. But my second order, my newest order that I just placed, are of these guys. So this was not out when I initially reviewed the brand. It's the Bff Serum Distress. So this is also very comparable to a tinted moisturizer. It's got a little bit more coverage than the original Bff Cream, but I'll talk about that later. And then the Bff Serum Concealer. So when I did my initial review, I really wasn't a fan of the Just a Touch concealer. I felt like it was a little too drying on me. It just did not look good on my skin. And I had a lot of people say that they loved the Serum Concealer better. Since then, they've put it in a little tube. It used to be in a pot. So I don't really know if it's been reformulated or what. But yeah, I thought it would be fun to play around with some more complexion products. And then I'll go ahead and just pull these off so I get the names right. The face products I purchased were the Miracle Blur. And this is a kind of like a mattifying balm that you put on top of your makeup. At least that's how I see Trinny use it in her videos. I ordered the initial bronzer that I really wanted the first time, but they were sold out. And it's called Gaia. I don't know. It's just a bronzer that runs slightly more cool. I really wasn't a fan of the Electra shade that I bought. It was way too warm. And then also a lip Luxe in the shade Sooze. I'm not really sure how it's different from the other lip products that I have, except that it feels a little bit more creamy. And then finally, I did get 2 new eye products. I got one more eye to eye, which is the cream eyeshadow. Most of the ones that I bought did not look good on me because I kind of went off the rail. They have this quiz that you can take on the website, and it recommends shades for your undertone and your skin tone. And I didn't really follow it, and I kind of like bit myself in the ass by doing that because the colors, most of them did not look good on me. So I did follow my Match to Me quiz on the website, and it recommended the shade Mystery, which is a nice kind of like taupey brown. And finally, they had these new Eyetalic pressed pigments, and I got the shade Minerva, and they're just kind of like those tightly packed pressed pigments, very similar to the Bodyography ones that I use on my channel quite often. So that's what we're going to be playing around with. Those are the products that I picked up, and yeah, I've been using them for a while. Got a pretty solid opinion. So we're going to start out with a couple pumps of the new-ish Bff Serum Distress. I got mine in the shade Claire, which was the shade that was recommended for me. It's a pretty good match. I like to do about 2 pumps of this product. It definitely has more coverage than the Bff Cream, the initial tinted moisturizer that I reviewed. That one I just can't get away with wearing with a full face of makeup. It has to just be like a very minimal, no makeup look. This one I definitely feel like looks a little bit more compatible with a full face of makeup. So definitely still in the tinted moisturizer category, but with a slight bit more coverage than the original BFF. And oh my God, I still just love the smell of her face products. This smells exactly like the BFF cream. And I don't know what it is, but it is so freaking nostalgic for me. And I can't put my finger on what this smell is. Ugh. And normally I hate fragrance in my products, but oh man, I love the smell of this. It doesn't linger. It goes away by the time you get it buffed in, but it just smells so heavenly to me. Also, I know the Trinny London fans are going to be blowing their heads off right now because I am using a brush, and I have to be honest, I just prefer her products with a brush. So many people were upset in my last video that I didn't use my hands in the demo. I have tried using my hands several times with the products, and I'm just always more pleased with how they look when I use my brushes. So you kind of just have to go with the best way that the products, you know, perform and look on you. And for me, it's always when I apply these with a brush. I just rarely love the way it looks when I've applied everything with my hands. So to me, this is a very beautiful product. I still feel like I stand in the same realm as I do with BFF Cream, where I can think of 4 or 5 products off the top of my head that are way less than half the price of this tube right here that can give me similar results. One example would be Neutrogena Hydro Boost Skin Tint. I feel like that's a very comparable coverage-wise product and also finish-wise. The BFF Serum, this is like a $48 tube, I think, 38, 48. Okay, yeah, it's actually a $50 product, and that's where I hit the bar with a lot of these things. I've been reviewing makeup for almost 10 years, and I know not everyone has that catalog in their head where they can think of things that are comparable at a cheaper price point, but that's where it kind of gets me on a lot of her products, because although they do look nice, they are very effing expensive. But looking at my skin close up in a mirror, this formula does a really good job of looking very skin-like. It's not creasing or creping into any lines on the skin. And I think that Trinny does a great job in general to catering to the more mature age group. So, you know, I can see if that's something that's really important to someone, then it might be worth the $50 price point. Let's move on to BFF Serum. I have it in the shade Alice. This is a very light coverage concealer. It has a lovely kind of deep puffing tip on it. I prefer to just put it on the back of my hand. This is a product that I do enjoy applying with my fingers. What I'll do is kind of just take my ring finger and just lightly tap. This is a very, very light coverage product. The original Just a Touch concealer definitely has a little bit more coverage to it, but I would say overall this one looks fresher on the skin. Right off the bat, I can just tell you this is not something I would ever repurchase because number one, I don't use concealer on a daily basis. And number two, if I am going to use concealer, it's probably not going to be a super sheer formula like this one. But again, very lovely in the department of no creasing. It is fresh looking, but I do also have products like Glossier Stretch or the L'Oreal True Match Fresh Wear Concealer that can give me a similar result for a fraction of the price. Now I'm going to take a bit of my Golden Glow bronzer. This is the new one I got. It's called Gaia, I think. Gaia. I just wanted to show you the difference in the color compared to the first color I got, which, let's see, I think this one's called Electra. Oh, okay, it's called Gensta. So, I don't know if you can tell, I'll just do a better close-up shot, but the newer one that I got is definitely more on the cooler side. It is slightly darker, but this one to me just, it showed up way too orange on my skin. I don't find myself using it often. This color I much prefer. So not too shabby of a bronzer. For a cream, I really do love that cooler undertone because a lot of the times I'll just skip blush and I'll use something like a cooler toned bronzer as like a multi-purpose product, you know, to save time. And I just find that this one meshes so much better with my skin compared to the original one that I had. So this was a pleasant surprise. I have been enjoying this color. I have no problems with the formula. It's kind of a mix between, I would say, like my Milk Makeup Cream Bronzer. It's slightly more dewy than that, but formula-wise, I would compare it to my beloved Milk Makeup one. The Milk one's a little bit more stiff, which most of the time I prefer, but this one applies lovely. Okay, I'm going to take a product from my older stack. So this is from my initial Trinny London review, and this was probably one of my favorite products from that review, and it's the Lip to Cheek in the shade called Lady J, and it's kind of like a nice neutral pink, has a touch of like a peachy undertone to it. This is a product that you can use on your lips or your cheeks. I have no problems using it for either, but I do like using it on my cheeks, I think a bit better, just because I don't tend to use super pink shades on my lips, but on the cheeks it's beautiful. So I think my initial Trinny London review must have got looped in the YouTube algorithm. If you don't know what that means, basically a lot of people will start watching it and then YouTube recommends it. And you know, when you go to your YouTube homepage and there's all these recommended videos and you have no clue who the person is, but you're really enticed to watch. That must have happened with my old Trinny review, because for a while I was getting a lot of feedback from people who definitely were not subscribed to me. They were seeing the video somewhere else, and some of them were really big Trinny fans. They weren't happy with the application. They weren't happy with a lot of things that I said. But then I had a lot of people who, you know, agreed that they had spent a lot of money and just kind of felt like there were things that they had in their collection that were similar. But one thing that stuck out to me the most is that I'm getting like super analytical with you all right now. My audience is split evenly in 3 different age categories. So that means that I have 3 different decades of people watching me evenly. Most of the time people will have one really large age group, and most of the time it's their age group that watches their videos. A large portion of you all that are watching my videos are in the 45, 55 plus range. And what I noticed is that a lot of women would say, you know, like, I'm 58, like, I love this brand because it's just so fast and healthy looking on the skin. I don't mind paying the price for convenience. And I can definitely see that with this brand. If you had the extra money to spend on it, then it's not really going to be as big of a deal to you. But I also know that I have a lot of you coming here that are looking to see if you should spend that extra $50 that you want to, you know, splurge on a product with. So from a consumer standpoint also, I have to look at these products and judge them fairly, regardless of how much they are and regardless of how nice they might look. I also have to let people know, like, hey, you could probably save a few bucks and go for this product. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. No matter how much I want to love a product, or no matter how much I think the brand is convenient, no matter how much I think the colors are beautiful, unique, I still have to really pay close attention to formula compared to price. Okay, so next product is one of the newer ones that I got, and I have to say I am less than thrilled with it. I knew that it probably wasn't going to be like a really necessary product for me, but I actually saw Trinny use it in a video and I thought it made her skin look really nice. So I got it, and it's the Miracle Balm. So this is kind of like a moussey textured product that you apply in areas where you want to eliminate shine, and also slightly, I think it's supposed to slightly smooth the appearance of wrinkles. I just don't know if I found the best way to apply it, because if I just take the product with my finger and apply it directly or try to like smooth, it will disturb what I've put underneath it 100%. So the best way I've been applying it, or I found that it applies best, is by just taking a little bit on my finger, and you can kind of see that moussey texture that it has. And then I just try and blend as much out on my finger like this as I can until it's almost invisible. And then I'll go in and press some into my skin. But I have to be very careful with it. One day I applied it and I thought that I had gotten it nicely like rubbed in, and then I got out in the car and I look, and it kind of had like this very peeled appearance on my face, like it had balled up and peeled up. And so I hadn't really like smoothed it out enough. But the problem with that is that if I just continually smooth with my fingers, then I'm just going to erase everything I've put down. So I would just say, as of right now, this is kind of like a tedious product for me. Slightly reminds me of one that that Mally used to have. Mally used to have this kind of silicone clear balm in a giant tub. I remember Emily Noel used to love it, and you would just take your fingers and you would kind of just press into the skin and it would eliminate shine, or you would use like a pad. I think it came with a little pad. But you can kind of see, like, I've just applied a really small amount to this side of my face, and look at this area right here. Definitely still some shine going on. So it does eliminate shine and does provide like a nice smooth finish. I think I just need to play around with it a little bit more. But I will say that I find that I have to be pretty careful with it. Okay, we are going to move into eyes now. I'm going to use 3 colors. 2 of them are cream. The last one is that new Eyetalic kind of pressed pigment. It's in the shade Minerva, and then I'm also going to use my new shade called Mystery, and then one of the older shades that was probably my favorite out of the 4 or 5 that I got, and it's called Emperor. It's really nice, dark, rich, chocolatey, like cocoa color. So I'm going to start out by taking Mystery, which is a nice little metallic kind of taupey brown. I'm just going to use one brush with this. It's just the end of the brush I've been using, which is the It Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Face Brush. And I'm just going to use this as a base for my entire lid. That's how I've been applying it. Same thing, I get a lot of comments from people saying like, oh, you should really apply the eyeshadows with your finger. I have, and again, some days I do, but most days I just prefer the brush. I just think that, I don't know, I can get much more control out of it, and overall I find that I'm just more happy with my final look. Okay, now I'm going to take a bit of Emperor, which is a lovely color. It is super rich, dark chocolatey brown. Just gonna use a very small amount of this as kind of like my definer shade slash lash line shade. You know the drill. Okay, so now I'm gonna press the shade Minerva into my eye, and I have to say, stunning color. I don't have a shade like this in my Bodyography pressed pigments, and I don't have a shade in it that I'm like aware of from the L'Oreal Hip Intense pigments, those pressed ones. So it's a really nice kind of blend of a silver, brown, pewterish color. Makes a great topper. So what I've been doing is literally just taking my finger, you know, like I would normally do with like my Bodyography pigments. These are slightly more packed a little bit more densely. And I just press into my eye. Again, you know the drill. But I have gotten fallout a couple of times while applying these. So I'm going to try to be as careful as possible. It wasn't a ton of fallout, but it's definitely happened a couple of times. Yep, got a little bit of fallout there. I'm going to take a little bit of like a gray brown liner and just tightline with it. And a little bit of the Maybelline Sky High mascara. Really been enjoying this one. So this is the final product that I got in my new stack, and it's the Lip Luxe in the shade called Sooze. The only difference I've noticed in Lip Luxe formula and the lip to cheek and whichever other lip product I have down there, I have two different ones. The Lip Luxe is definitely just a creamier formula. Like, it's not as matte on the lips. So this is kind of like a nice, like a mauve-ish brown tone. It's really pretty. One thing that I kind of like about her lip products is, I don't know if you notice, but the more that I layer, the darker they get. So you can kind of create like this nice custom color. You can go from like super sheer to really dark. And I found that with most of the lip formulas that I have. I'm going to take that leftover color on the cheeks. Okay, I'm just curious to see what this looks like over the Sooze color. This was something I bought in my original Trinny review, and it's called the Sheer Shimmer. It's supposed to be like a gloss. I have it in the shade Dido, which, I don't know, it's kind of like a shimmering pink. We'll see. Okay, truly, I have to admit, this go round was so much more successful than my first one. And that's why I wanted to do a second trial run, because this happened to me a long time ago with Charlotte Tilbury, which most of you know, Charlotte is my gal. Like, there's very few products I don't enjoy from her. But the first time I ever ordered from Charlotte Tilbury, I ordered like all the wrong stuff, like just stuff that didn't match me, stuff that still to this day, like I'm not crazy about. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. Okay, I don't know how my Trinny videos always turn into like 30-minute videos, but they just do. I feel like I have a lot to say. I hope you enjoyed seeing round 2. Let me know if this helped you out. Let me know if Trinny was still like on your radar and you were kind of just like, don't know if I can take it that far price-wise, because that's my hesitation when I go to the website and I'm like, oh my gosh, these products look so pretty. They just look so versatile and fun and travel friendly. And then I get my cart added up and I'm like, all right, fam, that's like a whole month's worth of groceries. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I'm still going to continue to experiment with Trinny in the future. Everything just came out more polished, like I was hoping for. This is what I really wanted, like on that first review. So yeah, definitely more pleased, and I think you'll see me using these products a lot more. So hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.